Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm back with another Fortnite replay video. So what this is a winning match that I had earlier, and I'm going to go ahead and take you through a gameplay analysis version of it. So let me just pause it here for a second. Just for a bit of background, I'm not the best Fortnite player. I'm not the best builder, I don't have the best mechanic skills, but I still manage between an 8 and 10 or so percent win rate, which is higher than all but the top 10% or so of players. And the way I do it is game sense. I get a good flow of the game and I try and make good decisions throughout the game that put me in a good position to take advantage of terrain, take advantage of the ways enemies are moving into the path, and um, just control of the final zones. So let's start off taking a look at the map here. We're jumping really early here. We've got a north to south bus, and we're jumping with the first group. So we're going right to Pleasant Park. So we know right off the bat we're going to be seeing some combat. So we're looking for the lowest area of terrain to open our umbrella and glide in and get a gun immediately. Now, the first most important item you need to get through the early game is a shotgun. Everything else is secondary. After shotgun, um, probably the next most important thing would be a shield or mini shields, but the shotgun is the key, and for that reason, I've actually started landing on the ground rather than on the rooftops. Rooftops generally lead to chests, and chests do not contain shotguns. So here we've got our shotgun right off the bat, so we're in a pretty good position. We've got medical supplies, and we're just going through, and we're trying to get a little bit of loot, see if we can find some shields before we have to engage our first few enemies. So now we've got a shotgun, a shield, and an automatic rifle. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take a look around and see if I can find any other opponents. The earlier I can get them cleared, the less geared they're going to be. Typically I don't like to leave my first few buildings through the doors. People tend to watch doors, and as soon as they see them open, they know that someone's going to come through them. So I always try and leave through a wall, and I try and leave through a back wall so that there's going to be fewer eyes on it from the other buildings. So right now I'm just looking through here. All the doors are closed, so I'm assuming it hasn't been looted. And I'm just going through and seeing if I can get a peek on some of the other guys. I know someone landed by the northeast house, and you can actually see him on the mini-map here. And now we got our first look at him, and we kind of surprised them. And of course, since we build towards each other, it ends up in one of these jumping shotgun battles. And unfortunately, these really do come down to luck a lot of the time. Between players who don't have, the Twitch skills of a streamer, it really comes down to just who manages to get the lucky shotgun shot first. You can practice at them to get better, but you can only get so good. I tend to win those fights more often than not, but I still find them really frustrating. So you can see here I kind of walled off the bottom stairs, and this is to keep anyone from following me up them while I heal up and get some shields up. So I actually only got reduced down to about 80 health there, but I still use the med kit. That 13 or 20 health can still save you and make up the difference. So right here I'm just continuing back to the house I landed at. I start getting shot from behind. Immediately build behind me. I don't even need to know where the shots are coming from. I've got mini shields, so I go ahead and use them, and I watch this guy come over. Now I'm standing in kind of an odd spot. I think he actually thinks that I go inside that building right there, because he turns towards me, and then he turns around, and that really got him killed. It turns into another pitch shotgun battle, and I managed to squeak out a win here too. And now I've got all his building materials, which he apparently had quite a few. I'm not sure how people managed to farm up quite that quick. And he was a significantly better builder than me too. So right now I'm just trying to stay safe while I'm healing up. I've got one point of access for this room unless another wall gets broken. And you can see I'm keeping it in my vision so that if someone comes towards, I'll be able to see them before they see me. And about this point, I start hearing someone else in the house with me, and you see me looking around. I'm trying to pinpoint their exact location, and I'm not entirely sure where it is, but I know I don't want to go into the house to look for them. They might be on the roof, so I actually launch a blast pad and go up there to check. They aren't on the roof, so I know they're in the house. I can hear them moving around. So right now I'm just kind of moving around, breaking some stuff to see if I can get him to move, checking the attic, and you'll see kind of an interesting decision here in a second. So just keeping an eye out for him. So right about here I actually noticed there's impulse grenades over here, and I want them. So I go and get them, and hopefully that makes him think that I leave. I don't think it does. I go right back immediately, since if he wants to leave the house I'm going to catch him. Instead I build back up. So now he thinks there's more than one person here possibly. And so what I do is I start breaking into the house, and this is to make him think that there might be someone in the house with him now, and that actually gets him to leave the house, which is when I spring my trap. So now we can see him. He comes out here, and I actually hear the door open, so I know he's outside. I'm able to finish him off, and he was the last person that I landed with, so now Pleasant Park is ours. So just because you have a place doesn't mean you should let your guard down, but I'm going to go ahead and fast forward here, since I spend the next few minutes just making sure the place is clear and looting it up. I put down my trap just in case anyone's outside. And again, I leave through the back. I try and leave as little of myself exposed as possible. I always enter buildings through the roof. Now here's kind of an interesting decision here. When I drink this health jug, I'm actually at 100 health and 25 shields. Instead of taking the health jug with me, I'd rather just have the full 200 shields on my person. So I go ahead and drink that so that I can keep the fort. I just continue on. And I don't really see anyone for quite a while. We're only in the first circle and the game's already down to 25 people, so this is a pretty quick game in terms of the early game. The middle tends to drag out a little bit. And right here you can see I go ahead and exchange some of my wood for a hunting rifle just so I have some long range option. Right now I'm still using a gray SMG, or not a gray SMG, a gray assault rifle, I believe it's gray, and a blue shotgun, but I didn't really have anything for long range. Right now I'm just hitting some buildings for some wood. I don't kill the trees. Killing the trees is basically going to wave a sign to anyone saying, hey, I'm here. So here's an interesting thing. Right now I'm kind of keeping an eye towards Anarchy Acres to make sure that no one's there. I actually come up and I take the ridge because I know that there's probably someone there. I see construction here, and I'm trying to catch anyone coming out. But we actually end up walking almost within about 15 feet of each other without knowing the other is there. He might have heard me running, but I didn't know he was there. So you really got to watch out with areas like that. So I'm going to slow it back down. So at this point I see the airdrop, and I'm debating whether or not I want to get it. Depends on how many players are left. Someone else is shooting at it, so I know someone has seen it. Since I haven't seen anyone on my side, I know that they're probably directly opposite the airdrop, and I start heading up there. So what I want to do is, while they're focused on the airdrop, they're not going to be expecting anyone directly under it, so I'm going up to try and get the kill. Now they get sniped before I do, so what I do is I go up and I immediately start building a wall, and that absorbs the sniper bullet while I can loot. So I know that that sniper was a pretty good shot, since he managed to kill the other guy off pretty quick. So what I'm doing is I'm building walls ahead of where I'm going to be, just to give me some cover. And I think right there is the first time that I saw the sniper actually on my screen. So let me go to the drone free, and you can actually see him up there on the top of that hill, just by the bush. Switch back to gameplay, but I don't see him yet. Right now I'm just focused on building, and right here is where I actually see him for the first time. So I do miss my shot, but now he's aware of me, and he's in a little bit more precarious position than I am. I'm inside the zone. I'm actually very central to the zone, so I should be good for the next 2 zones. So the purpose of the trap is twofold. It keeps anyone from jumping in my fort with me, and it blocks some of his vision from this side. You can see through the wood pretty well, get a general idea of where people are in wooden forts. Now I do manage to get a hit there. It's not a headshot, but I do want to put some extra pressure on because right now he's really low on HP. I do have a limited amount of rockets here. I believe I only had about 15 or 20. So at some point I want to conserve them, but I also want to make sure that I don't, die with a bunch of rockets in my inventory that might have saved my life. So right now he's hurt. He's going to be reluctant to peek again, so I just want to put a little bit more pressure on. What I'm doing is I'm just deciding where I want to shoot the rocket first, and then going up, launching it, and dropping back down. I'm not giving him enough time to line up a sniper shot, and I'm not giving the bullet enough time to travel to my location. Once he does use that sniper rifle, I know I have at least a couple seconds while he's reloading to pop up and launch another rocket. So right now I'm just knocking his fort down. What I'm hoping is that other people are seeing this encounter and seeing how exposed he is when I knock down his fort and capitalizing on it, but no one actually takes that invitation. So we can see another guy was up there near him, but they elected to ignore the fight in order to get inside the zone. And that kind of becomes a little interesting later on. So right now we just made it to the top 10. We're just looking around, seeing if we can find, or seeing if we can make sure that no one comes into our fort. We want to hold our position. And about this time I start realizing that I'm getting pretty bad tunnel vision. So you're going to see here in a second, I start looking around, I start getting antsy. And what I actually do is I build up 2 walls, and this is to block his vision of me while I survey the other areas. So anyone could have been sneaking up on me. In this game it turns out that there was no one over here, but I just want to make sure that I keep these quadrants clear as the zone's coming in. Anyone who's over here is going to want to come directly to me as soon as the next zone comes in. So I just want to head that off. So what I'm doing this for is anyone who parachutes into my my fort, they're either going to have to land on this narrow structure or they're going to fall down below to where I've also trapped. So I do get this pink guy down here, and I actually don't even realize that he's here. So he's just kind of skulking around below that ridge until he starts lobbing grenades at me. And then I start taking a look at what I can do for him. So what I'm doing right here, in case you didn't see that, let's see if I can rewind it. So I'm actually aiming above his walls. I'm trying to get some grenade splash, or some rocket splash damage off the tree behind him. He does build up, so I aim even higher. And with that one, I actually get some rocket damage on him, and it takes only a shot or 2 to finish him off. So at this point, I know that someone came down from the cliff, and I see a different guy than I was looking at earlier. So I know there's 2 people over here. So we've got the Tomato Town gentleman, and then the person from the pinnacle. I'm still looking around. I see some construction down here, so I know that someone's coming in from that side. But they're not my biggest threat for the moment. Right now I'm reasonably sure that there's no one to my south. So right here, I noticed the second person jump out. So what I'm going to try and do is take a couple pot shots of this guy. I'm trying to warn the tomato guy that there's someone back there behind him. But unfortunately he doesn't turn around or get the message. I think he thinks I was just shooting at him with bad aim. But that's alright. So again, he starts building, and he immediately gets killed. And I don't remember if I was the one that got the kill or if he got shot from behind there, but either way, he's dead. Doesn't really matter who kills you in this game. And we can see sniper rifle shots flying back and forth, so we know there's probably someone to our east. Or to our north, I'm sorry. So right now I'm just looking here. I'm not exactly sure where the other guy is. I don't know if he's moved up. I'm just looking for any telltale sign of motion or movement. So right now, This guy, if you look on my my mini map, is kind of skulking around in that same spot as the guy we killed earlier, but he's not bothering us right now. And there, I'm gonna rewind just so you can make sure you see it. We start seeing some of this loot get picked up, so we know that even though we don't have line of sight on a player, he's there. I think he realizes his mistake because he immediately begins to build, and it actually builds off of this little brick structure and leaves a tiny gap underneath, and that's what I aim for with my rocket. Anytime you can kind of thread the needle, and we do get some damage on him there. So right now he's on the defensive pretty hard because I did damage to him with the rocket. So at this point I'm actually going to move to the free drone. I'm up here. This guy is watching down here. I don't know if he's just moving up. But he should have, if not a clear shot on me, at least a shot on me at some point. Maybe he's just too low. But he kind of leaves me alone while I finish this guy off. Alright, let's go back to the third person. Or the gameplay. So now this guy's forced in by the zone. He's really on the defensive, he's really hurt, and I managed to finish him off with the scar that I looted earlier. So right here I'm debating putting down a launch pad. I decide not to. I was going to use the launch pad to maybe go collect some of that loot. Now when I do that, the guy down here finally decides to take a shot at me. Now I know he's got no sniper rifle, and he's down there. I've got elevated terrain on him, and he's revealed himself. So I look up, and I see him. I've got him right here, and I managed to land a shot on him with the bolt action, so that stripped off all of his shields, and he jumps down. So I immediately know that now he's on the defensive. He's going to try and build up some shelter. He might be panicking a little bit. Now the issue is that he's building really well. He's a much better builder than I am. So I'm just trying to keep the pressure on and not give him a minute to heal. Right now he's decided that he's not going to kill me by fighting. You can see that I even managed to mess up my building there. And he thinks that he's got a clear minute. But when he builds up over here, let me rewind that. He actually builds his ramp in the wrong direction. He builds it away from him so he doesn't have that extra layer of protection. All he has between me and him is one paper thin wood wall and very few HP. So I managed to finish him off. I go ahead and seal up my fort because I don't know where the last guy is. I have a general idea that he's over here somewhere, but I want to make sure that he's not sneaking up on me right away. So I'm just looking around, see if I can spot him, reinforcing my structure. Right now I've got the high ground, I've got good ammo, I've got good loot, and as soon as I see him, and he doesn't have any structures up, I want to start putting pressure on him, so I start shooting immediately. When I see the rocket, I know I have at least a second before that rocket hits me, and he's either got to reload or switch to another weapon, so I continue to put the pressure on, and I manage to finish him off before the rocket even hits. Alright. So that's this game. Actually, on this one I want to go back a little bit since I didn't really talk about the circle strategy. So I'm going to go back. So this is before the first circle. Okay. So with this one, the first circle, we're good. We're inside the circle. We know we're not technically going to have to move for the next circle. The majority of players that jumped late out of the bus, remember it went north to south, they're going to be coming in from the east and south. Okay, so let's skip about 3 minutes ahead. Okay, so the zone should have moved. Did I click the wrong place? No, the zone's just coming in. So let's skip ahead another 2 minutes. Okay, so now the zone's coming in again, and we'll have our first look at where it's going to go here. Okay, so based on this zone, we know we're going to have to move. We've got two choices. We can go straight in over the ridge. That'll put us in kind of a bad place for the next zone because we'll have to either traverse across Loot Lake or circumnavigate it. If we circumnavigate it, we're running into Tilted Towers. Generally, there's still 3 or 4 players in Tilted Towers at this point in the game. But if we go north, we can come up around this wide section. We can clear anyone in Anarchy Acres, and we can kind of avoid any really bad battles of people rushing into the zone. We are very close to the zone, so we know that we'll be safe as long as we kind of head due east, which is what I do. And we'll go ahead and skip forward again. So now I'm already in the zone. You can see there are players behind me, which I avoided by going in early and continuing on rather than just stopping as soon as I got inside the circle. Let's keep going. So over here I'm continuing to transition to the east. Most of the players that were in this circle were coming from the south and east, and they'd be concentrated at the bottom of the circle. They don't really have much reason to push in further than that. So we know that coming east we're fairly safe. There is 1 or 2 guys over here, and with this circle, going as deep into it as we do is actually not so much because of the circle, but because of the dynamics that I talked about between this airdrop and whoever's shooting it from the other side. I want to get in them, I want to get at them, and to do that I kind of need to get in close and I need to penetrate deep in the zone. Now, here we get one of the last zones, and as it so happens, our previous act kind of puts us right in the middle of the new zone. And really, you're not going to win every game. You kind of need a couple things to line up. You need to be playing well, you need to make good decisions, and occasionally the game needs to throw you a bone with a favorable zone. In this case, all 3 happened. All 3 things lined up for us, and we were able to get the win. So let's go ahead and keep going. I know that since I'm in the middle of the zone, and I mentioned this during the gameplay, that I should be good for the next zone as well. Generally, if you're right in the middle of the zone or close to it, there's a good chance that you'll be in the next zone. And you can see that that's the case when the next zone comes in. It's not all the way squished to the edge, it's kind of in the middle, and it keeps us inside. I also knew that that last zone was going to force them off the mountain, which kind of opened me up strategically. It gave me the highest position in the final circles, and altitude gives you a lot of advantages in this game. Anytime you can capitalize on having the high altitude, do so. So we'll go ahead and draw it in. So a lot of these guys are getting forced in by the circles. They know that this next one's going to move pretty rapidly, so they have to kind of move through pretty unfavorable terrain in order to get to the final circle. I'm on the edge of the final circle, and right now I can actually survey most of the circle itself from my position, and I'm threatening basically the entire area. Circle's starting to come in. Alright. So at this next point, the circle actually transitions while we're fighting. But what's interesting is I'm not even looking at the circle at this point. My only goal right now is to put pressure on him, finish him out, and then I'll worry about the circle afterwards. So while I'm doing that, we'll take a look at this other guy. And this guy does not really make the right decision. So he could have capitalized on our fight. I'm going to go ahead and speed it up a little bit. Right now he was hiding in the building at the edge of the map. He does launch a rocket, but after that he just kind of hangs back. So now there's only 2 players left. And he's back here, he's kind of looking for me. Now I don't know why he abandons this structure. This would have been a good structure. He might just be a fairly new player. But he does abandon that structure. He does make some bad decisions that end up losing him the game. Alright, so that's it for the replay analysis. Go ahead and let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you'd like to see more of this type of content, go ahead and hit that like button or subscribe to the channel. I do videos for Fortnite and a couple other games. Be sure to check them out. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.